All right, here with head men's basketball coach Chris Tifft. Chris, this past week, you guys beat Northwest Indian College 104-71 on the home court. Nice win. And this week now you're transitioning into CC2A conference play. You're hosting Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State San Bernardino. What are your thoughts right now with how the season's going and conference coming up?
It's quick and slow at the same time. It's you look around the country, it's amazing. We've only played 4 games. A lot of teams, even at the Division I level, played 6, 7 games. So it's given us some time to practice. It's good to get a couple wins under our belt. We felt like maybe we gave one away early in the season in our opener, but with a young team that's inexperienced, that's going to happen. So I had some very good practices the last couple of days, and looking towards conference. It's a different challenge, the physicality, the athleticism, the importance of the games is going to be different, and for our team to understand that is a big focal point for us. And fortunately for us, I think Cal Poly Pomona and San Bernardino are similar in the way that they play, in terms of being aggressive and athletic. So we've had a good chance to prepare and kind of get a feel for what our opponents are going to be like the next couple of games.
And what type of jump in intensity is it going from non-conference to conference games, and how do you kind of prep your team for that?
Well, the way you prep it is to have difficult and physical practices, and you kind of forget how many of our players know the players from the other teams. They played in high school, they played summer basketball, so there's some familiarity there with opponents and other players, but it is going to be a different level of intensity. I think that's the difference in terms of teams scouting you, knowing you in terms of being an individual, knowing your tendencies, the importance of the games. Even from the official standpoint, I think it's going to be a little bit different. Let's face it, I'm a new coach in the league. I know that. Coach Kamansky at Cal Poly Pomona has been here for a couple decades, or been there for a couple decades. We're not going to get a lot of calls. We're going to have to earn some respect. So there are a lot of differences with conference games as opposed to the non-conference games.
And how nice is it to kind of roll in there with a couple of wins stacked up? Obviously, it's going to be a whole different type of team that you're going to compete against, but how important is that momentum?
It's important. One, it motivates your players to show up to practice, and motivates them for buy-in in terms of, oh yeah, maybe this works, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. So it does help in a lot of ways. And, we all want to experience some level of success, and I think wins kind of make you feel that way and give you that momentum and give you that confidence and the ability to come to practice and be excited about it. I think our guys understand it's going to be a little bit different challenge come Thursday evening, and they're okay. I mean, these guys have played against good players and played in big games before, maybe just not together on the same team, but they're excited about it.
With the whole group kind of coming together, how is it having like 15 or so players have to buy into believing you? I mean, this is your first year with the program, not to project any like hard-headedness, but how is that getting them to buy in and trust you and your basketball knowledge?
Well, we have a great group of young men, we really do, and they've done a great job of buying in. The more numbers you have, you're bound to have 1 or 2 guys that don't have a great day. I mean, the more people you add to your team, there's a chance that maybe it's not this person's day, or 2 guys maybe don't have a great day at practice. But they've been really good, and the thing that we fought the most over the last few days is sickness and some injuries in practice, and just trying to kind of get everybody to practice at the same time has been a little bit of a challenge. Some guys traveled for Thanksgiving. We had 3 days off, and it was inevitable. Someone's going to get the sniffles, not feel well. So we've had to fight that a little bit. But in terms of buy-in mentally, I think our guys have done a great job because they're high character young men.
And the first 2 games you played, and we talked about it, kind of disappointed in your guys' performance, and knowing that they're new, they haven't played together before. These last 2 wins, kind of what has shifted between the first 2 games and the last 2 games in practice and mentally?
Well, I do think that obviously we played some good teams the first weekend, and we need game experience. That's one thing to practice. It's another thing to have experience in games. It kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier. We've only played 4 games, and it doesn't seem like very many. And you can practice all you want, but until you get your family and your friends in the stands, and they're really keeping stats, and the scenarios are win or lose, it changes things. And we just don't have a lot of game experience. So I think every time we step on the floor, we're going to continue to get better. And we're still trying to figure out who is best at what position, maybe what combinations are best. That's a real thing, and as a head coach, it's not just about the players being inexperienced. It's about me not knowing our guys as well as maybe some other coaches know their teams. We don't have returners. This is my first year here. There are no returners. So I'm trying to learn what to expect from our players. But I think game experience is the biggest factor for us. And just getting out there and getting comfortable with the home environment, whether it's our locker room or it's warm-ups or our band or whatever the case may be, it's just familiarity and game experience for us.
So this Thursday, having a little bit more familiarity at home, what are you putting in at practice this week, kind of focusing on talking to your guys about for this opening Poly Pomona game?
Well, I hope they're not listening, but no, we're trying to instill some physical and mental toughness. And these days it's a little harder. It really is. But we are trying to instill some mental toughness and some physical toughness, and to play through adversity. And defensively, we're trying to still take steps forward defensively. I think we're playing hard. We're not playing smart. So we're really trying to be smarter on the defensive end, whether it's fouling, whether it's extending to our defense and kind of getting exposed, getting beat off the bounce, off the dribble. So those are some things that we've had to really focus on, is just playing a little smarter, but still keeping the same intensity. And with young players, with 8 freshmen on our roster, is the physicality. Can you box out and rebound? Can you hold on to the ball when someone's trying to take it from you? And those are things that we've tried to ramp up over the last week. Is a lot more pads in practice, a lot more physical drills, and just getting used to that.
And you mentioned the illnesses and the practice injuries. Are you guys going to have a full squad tomorrow night?
I anticipate us to have a full squad. Are we going to be where everyone feels 100%? No. But we talk a lot about the best ability is availability. And this is the time of year where you need to try to be available. Play through some aches and pains. If we had a player today who didn't have a great practice, and after practice I talked to him about it, and he said, well, my head's been hurting. And I said, well, we'd like to know that before practice starts. So there's definitely some of that, and I think every team experiences that. But for us, it's just, how do we get to a point as a program, since we're so new in our infant stages as a program, of the expectations of what is it you can play through, what is it that you can manage, can you push through when you're preparing for a big game, what does it mean to be available to your teammates and to make sure you stay focused and are ready to help the team.
I'm kind of just curious on what trying to practice physical strength and toughness in games. What does that look like in practice? You mentioned the pads, but you guys just lining out there having them fight through contact, or what does that look like?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. You have to handle the ball versus contact, post play, trapping drills, drills where you don't maybe call as many fouls as you would normally. Now that could promote fouling as well, so you have to be smart about that. 1-on-2 situations, 2-on-3 situations. So there are a lot of things you can do to instill toughness with your basketball team. Some guys really like it and gravitate towards it. Some don't like it. Unfortunately for some, our program is going to be built on that, on physical and mental toughness. So we just have to get our roster in a position where everyone that's on our roster buys into that and can play that way.
I know we're only 4 games in, but can you kind of recollect it like September or October when you guys just first started practicing, kind of where you guys are at now and what differences you see?
That's a great question, because Coach Billups and I were talking about this just yesterday, and I think over half-price appetizers at Applebee's.
Lovely.
Late nights at Applebee's. But when we first got here and put the team together, the emphasis was playing hard. just playing as hard as you can and being competitive. And now we have to dial that back a little bit. Now we have to be smart, and we can't get out there and just challenge everybody. It's time for us to make the adjustment of playing hard and having intensity, but not fouling, not extending our defense, not getting our zone defense extended, not getting our man-to-man zone, our defense extended. So the focus is changing. You see it in practice. You see it in games. I think that as a coach, you can see it a little bit more easily than the fans. But looking back, it was all about how hard can you play? Can you push through? Are you going to be in shape? Can you get in the weight room? And now that foundation has been laid, now we just need to play a little bit smarter.
Gotcha.
What players right now are you surprised by, in a positive light, who have kind of shown that they want to be here and they want to be on the court?
I think all of our guys have shown that they really want to be here and want an opportunity. Things change quickly. I've just listened to some things on social media lately. Sometimes there's some positive things with social media. Bill Self at Kansas, Coach K at Duke, talking about how everyone's journey is a little bit different, and you have to run your own race. And just had a conversation with a player today about maybe if you're here right now as a young guy, maybe you'll be here. Maybe it'll take a little more time than somebody else. Maybe you'll pass somebody up. But I feel like all of our guys are really bought in. Obviously, Rob Diaz has done a nice job scoring the ball, but there's some things that he needs to work on defensively. I think as a fan, when you watch guys like Emmanuel Stewart hit shots and make threes, that's exciting, but that's not always the whole picture. Brandon Bento Jackson's done a great job for us as a freshman. I think Rob's done a great job. I think Pajon Slater has done a really good job of buying into what we are doing as a program, and all the little things every day, whether it's class attendance or academics or being on time and being early and really invested. And as simple as guys, just responding to text messages, the thumbs up and the exclamation points, and those things go a long way as a coach. I thought Cam Timmons has done a really nice job lately of leading our group and showing his experience. And I could go on, but I think that we have most of our guys, if not all of our guys, really bought into what we are doing. You're not always going to have a great day, as an individual. I think we all go through that. But they always say, that 3 guys cannot have a bad practice. That's your head coach, your point guard, and your best player. And I think that as soon as we get to that point where our head coach, our point guard, and our best player, which I don't know who our best player is yet, but once we get there, if all 3 of those can have great practices every day, then our program will really move forward.
And how important is kind of the leadership and just veteran nature of Cam Timmons? I guess Brandon's been in Arcata and with the program for a while as well, but just kind of showing these guys around Arcata, showing them how to be on a collegiate basketball team. How important is that stuff?
It's important because our voice as coaches only goes so far. We're in front of our players a couple hours a day, but there's the locker room, there's the weight room, there's the residence hall, there's the cafeteria. So it's important to have good leadership. Kareem Clark has done a nice job. He's a returner. He's yet been to be cleared to play, but he's done a nice job being vocal in practice and kind of understands the expectations of what it takes to win in this conference. Kind of what we're up against. But it's important for those guys to have a positive voice. I challenge our older guys all the time. Ramaya Adidaba, Chase Hedinger, Isaiah Latour has done a great job. Challenge those guys a lot as older players to show us the way, show our young players the way to be competitive, to be consistent, to be locked in. And it's important. It's not always there. I think every team struggles with that, but it's very important.
Sweet.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.